going to say we're against wasteful government spending. You're never going to find a candidate for political office who says, I'm pro-wasteful government spending. But I stand for sitting in front of this panel before all of you here today to say, I have a record that I am running on. It is a record of consistent fiscal responsibility and accountability. I'm happy to report to all of you that on my record as a state representative and as a member of the Honolulu City Council, I have never voted for a tax increase. But also, equally important, I have never voted for a budget that increases government spending by more than inflation plus population growth. That is the type of record I will take to the United States Congress, because I believe that these multi-trillion-dollar deficits facing our nation are one of the biggest challenges facing each and every one of us as Americans. We cannot continue this culture of spending. This year, the United States Congress is looking at a budget of $3.8 trillion, financed by a $1.6 trillion budget deficit. What it means to each and every one of you is $7,000 of additional debt to each and every one of you in this room, to every single man, woman, and child in our nation. That is too much. The question, however, was, well, what will you do about it? How will you confront that? Let me offer you 3 concrete proposals that I advocate. Number 1, we need real earmark reform in our nation's capital. Earmarks, otherwise known as pork barrel spending, need to come to an end. We need to change the culture of spend, spend, spend on Capitol Hill. Second, we have to stop launching new government programs like $800 billion of stimulus package programs that do not work. We have to bring down and cannot run $1.6 trillion budget deficits. And finally, I do support a balanced budget amendment for our Congress, just as we have it at the state and city level here in Hawaii. Thank you.
We know in the year 2007, there is deficit neutrality. I support. Now, what that means is even with the health care reform act that just passed, the Congressional Budget Office had to go through it and price it out, and they concluded that in the long run, that there would be savings for the government, savings for all of us, with the enactment of that piece of legislation. However, we are now faced with a huge deficit. It is not something that just simply emerged overnight. Remember, when President Clinton left office, we had a surplus. So there is at least some evidence of what can be done to bring spending under control and to control the cost of government. But over the years, whether it be the Iraq War or military spending or just bad decisions that have been made in prior administrations, they were all faced with this deficit. Now, how do we go about looking at what do we do to encourage the economic stimulus that we all need? We do need to stimulate our economy. The main way we need to stimulate it is we must all recognize that we need to have public confidence increase. How do we get public confidence? How do we get people to feel that there's a future? That's going to be the real challenge that we need to face. What we do know, for example, is that if we're going to stimulate the economy here, one of the things that have always worked is construction, because that puts money immediately into our economy. And yes, the stimulus package that some may not agree with did exactly that. The other thing is that we needed assistance in Medicaid, and that also came in through the stimulus package. When we are in this situation, state and county governments can't do very much because we can't print money. But we need to recognize that if we need to take these kinds of actions, hopefully just in the short term, we are going to have to do it, or this state would never have balanced its budget as well.
For the next 2 questions, our rotation will be City Council Charles Djou, followed by Colleen Hunt-Lucas, a senator, and then Congressman in like a baseball match. We'll do that for the next round. Okay. Our next question regards taxes. Congress continues to work on solving problems related to the alternative minimum tax, the imminent expiration of the 2001 Bush tax cuts, and other programmatic funding needs. To find revenues for these efforts, Congress should could retool the entire tax base, impose a flat tax, eliminate or reduce itemized deductions, including mortgage interest and state and local taxes, impose a national sales tax, including sales taxes on home sales, or devise some combination of all of the above. In addition, President Obama has proposed limiting itemized deductions. Many of these proposals would have an adverse impact on current homeowners and could create a barrier for prospective purchasers. What is your position on tax reforms that eliminate or curtail the mortgage interest deduction and/or imposes a sales tax on home purchases?
I oppose eliminating the deduction for mortgage interest. Homeownership is one of the most valuable aspects of our nation and our national economy. The American dream is founded in part on the basic principle that each and every individual can own their own home. This is one of, I think, the beautiful features of the United States. Relative to other westernized democracies, more Americans own their own homes than other citizens in other countries. This is important for us to preserve. This is important for us to continue into the future. I believe it establishes the fundamental foundation of what we believe in as Americans. So encouraging home ownership is important. It is essential. It was something I will continue to advocate should I be fortunate enough to earn your support to become a member of Congress. But to the larger question that was asked in terms of tax reform, this is something that I also think needs and cries out for attention. For the last year, the United States Congress has been concentrating virtually all of its attention on spending, as if every single ill that ails our nation can be cured by spending more money and more money and more money. That is not my approach. I believe that what makes America strong, what makes America great, is the individual American, not the American bureaucracy. And the best way we can turn around our economy is putting more disposable income in the hands and the pocketbooks of average Americans. We can do that by simplifying our tax code, by reducing our marginal tax rates, and pushing more money out into the economy, rather than pushing money out into the hands of bureaucracy. That's why I oppose and feel that the $860 billion stimulus package wouldn't work, and of course, 13 months later, after it has passed, we can clearly see it hasn't.
As to the issue regarding the mortgage, I also believe that mortgages, that home ownership is an essential part of all of our lives. What we do know is the stimulus package has in fact encouraged the home ownership with that tax credit that has been granted. And I think that that credit has encouraged the sale of homes. We do know, for example, and I believe this is a known fact right now, that in Hawaii ourselves, the number of inventory of homes have dropped, which means that there are sales out there. I think it's down to 1,100 when it was up to 1,900 about a year ago. That shows me that this is a good sign. And speaking to realtor friends that I do know, they have told me that in fact their businesses have been picking up in recent times. And a lot of them, for first-time homeowners, have looked at the $8,000 credit, which I hope will continue if there is another reintroduction or extension of those portions of the stimulus package. Tax reform, what we need to do there is, I would hate to see nationally that we impose something similar to what we have in the general excise tax. I would hate to see that we impose anything like that. And the reason why is, though that it is a wonderful mechanism by which we generate income, I do not believe that we do it on a national scale that acts in everyone's best interest. At the same time, however, I would not support the continuation of the rich tax cuts. I believe that what we have seen there is that it doesn't work. It has hurt our economy. But in addition to that, we must look at some of the policies that were set in those Bush administration years. Let's look at things like what caused the fall of Wall Street. The fall of Wall Street, I believe, is what caused the problem we had in the home ownership market and in the banking markets.
To the specific question, no, I don't support eliminating or curtailing those deductions, and I do believe that the overall policy of those deductions, which is to encourage, enhance, and preserve home ownership in our country, and the entire set of industries that are built around home construction and ownership and transactions, is a sound